development. It's about development of the mind. But the mind is the leader, and we try to develop the mind. And I have spoken numerous times the metaphor of a spider. A spider forming its web and then stay right in the middle. And we also often discuss that insects would fall on the web. Here, the development of the mind in the Buddhist meditation is similar to the way the spider deals with the insect that fall on the web. Following the Buddhist metaphor, let's say there are 6 insects that can fall on the web. There may be many in numbers, but you can group them into 6. In terms of our mind, those 6 insects are: number 1, the visual object. It's through the visual object, the visual sense, that the mind gets its food. In the same way, when an insect falls on the web, the spider goes and eats it. That's its food. And then the spider will return to the sand and stay in the sand. Instead of dealing with that, instead of eating that instead of managing that insect, in a safe way. If the spider is lost when it sees the insect, lost in its admiration, is lost in the visual object because it's fascinating, or because the spider fears the insect that had just fallen. But the spider is not dealing with the insect properly, and that insect can be can become a disturbance to the spider. In the same way, visual object is something very vital to the health of the mind. Very important, very vital to life, the way we live. But it's through seeing that we can also become irritated, agitated, angry, hate each other, or develop fear. And so this is one insect through the eye, visual object. The second insect is the audio, the sound that we hear. We need to use our voice and our sound to understand each other, to develop compassion, to help each other, to enjoy life. But it's also through the sound that we use, through the ears that we have, through listening, that we can develop negative emotion, negative thoughts. if you watch the news again and again that a 14 years old girl has been shot by the Taliban and 5 years old girl has been snatched from her parents. If you watch it again and again, that has an impact. You can feel less secure and you can feel more suspicious of your environment. This is what we see when hearing comes, when hearing arises without mindfulness, without awareness. So this is where we talk about mindfulness, in seeing, in hearing. The third insight is smelling. When we get a smell, we can become happy, or we can become unhappy also. The taste, what we eat. What we eat, that's another insight. It can be either food for the mind, or it can be poison to the mind. And the fifth one is the touch. That's the physical touch, including the climate, heat and cold, and human touch, human environment. And the last one is of course your own thoughts and perception. We call them six senses, or six doors. Six senses, not five senses, six. And they are the way human body, human mind are built, and we have to live with them. In living with them, if we get distracted by one of these insects, and suppose the spider forgets its home and it doesn't want to stay in the middle anymore, if the spider keeps moving around, then the web will be shaken. The spider will be less mindful because it's being distracted by one of those insects. When another insect falls on the web, the spider may not be alerted anymore because the vibration that is being caused by the fall of a new insect, vibration is being mixed with the distraction that come in from time to time, and the unmindful movement of the spider is that is why we talk about stabilizing the mind. Otherwise, we can get pulled out of ourselves very easily. We can get lost in our thoughts very easily. Sometimes an uncomfortable thought may catch with you, may catch your emotion, and emotionally you can become negative very easily. That can ruin the whole day. So that's about being pulled out of ourselves. But what we practice is when we focus on breathing in and out, it doesn't matter how you focus on that. Either you count your breathing from 1 to 9, 1 to 7, 1 to 5, it doesn't matter how you count that. And you also count the out breath. Or maybe you don't count it, you just focus in and out breath, mindful of that. The mind which hasn't got a home is restless and is wandering all the time. And it hasn't got the home qualities. The home qualities, for example, when you're at home, you feel relaxed, you feel in control, you feel secure. Those home qualities, when the mind hasn't got the home, the mind wouldn't have them. The mind wouldn't feel relaxed, wouldn't feel secure. Britain is a very secure country now. But being here, you may not feel secure. You may not feel secure. So this is why we do meditation, is a self-development. We cannot talk about self-development if we cannot develop our mind, our own mind. And the development of the mind is about learning how to deal with the 6 insects that fall on the web. Well, the spider and 6 insects are what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, what we think. So that they become our food and not poison. And the beginning of this training is called mindfulness. So we use breathing as primary object, and then the rest, the 6 insects as secondary object. As part of cognitive training, in this meditation, we register, release, and return. Register when an insect falls on the web. There's something like when you see something or when you hear something, when a thought arises, you see an image in your mind, you hear a voice in your head, or you start thinking. Mindfulness practice is at this stage, not at later stage, but at this stage, it's just about registering that 3 or 4 times. If you see, register that seeing, this is an image, seeing an image. Don't ignore that, don't suppress that. Don't get carried by that either. So avoid 2 extremes. To get carried away by that, to get lost in that, that's one extreme. But not to compress, to suppress that, to run away from that is another extreme. So we try to avoid these 2 extremes and try to follow the middle path. By registering, by accepting the function of the mind, which is seeing, which is hearing, which is thinking. If there is any emotional feeling, like or dislike, anything, just name it, register it, and release it, and then return to breathing, return home. 3R, register, release, and return. Same if you feel pain, physical pain. This pain is not something you need a painkiller. It just shows that physically you are healthy because you still feel pain. If you cannot feel pain, you're not healthy anymore. When physical pain arises, register that this is physical pain. This is physical pain. and look into the mind. If the mind is reacting to this physical pain, then register that reaction as well, and then return to breathing. So long you can return to breathing, so long the spider can stay in the middle. That's a sign of being in control. That's a sign of being stable. Otherwise, if the spider is being distracted and cannot return home, then the spider, is being shaken by the insects. So with this reflection, we can start our sitting. The sitting will be about 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and after that we can have discussion, and if you have any comment, any question, that would be the time. But now it's time to start sitting. Everything comes from being able to settle, okay, to settle, to be at home in the center. You talk about wisdom, you can talk about compassion, you can talk about joy, and those qualities, they are possible when the mind is settled in the middle, when the mind is not restless, is not distracted. And by looking at those 6 insects again, when you eat means, when we talk about eating, it looks very cruel. But by looking at one insect, if the mind develops compassion for some, if we see something, and if the mind, instead of becoming irritated, which is poison, irritation is poison, emotionally, intelligent is a poison too. So instead of becoming irritated, if the mind develops compassion, that's food. Compassion is food. It's nutrition. Yes. Compassion, yes, it can be compassion for yourself and for anyone. Because if compassion, your compassion is still confined to yourself, your compassion cannot survive very long.
So even if you're irritated by something,
yes,
instead of being irritated, you need to feel compassion to yourself.
Yes, yes. That's the point of meditation. All those 6 insects, okay, so, what we see, what we hear, all of them, they can irritate us, can irritate the mind. And they can also become the food for the mind, nutrition for the mind. So compassion is when the mind is has got that nutriment. What about your sitting this evening? Florence, any question, comment?
Two experiences I had, and I was wondering if that was the way to experience the chanting. Oh, another thing I had too was just enjoying the music and the vibration and the feeling in the body. So I was wondering what was the objective of this first thing.
The quality of experience in the chanting, okay, differs from session to session, from day to day, depending on how still our heart is. Sometimes, okay, just before chanting, or 1, 2, 3 typhoon will come, and so a lot of messages stuck in the head, and concentration is hardly with the chanting, but because we all learn by heart, it still goes on. That happens. But the training is to develop concentration, to develop focus, to focus the mind. Even if you learn by heart, okay, if there's no concentration, you still make a lot of mistakes. So when you chant, I have a few friends who are singers. People really like their songs. And at some point I asked them, okay, can you sing this song? They just forget. It's amazing. The whole country knows their song and they don't know it. They are the ones who know it. Because their mind is being occupied by something else. I'm trying to say that they cannot feel their song anymore. When you do chanting, first is of course to focus on this. But if we know the meaning through mindfulness practice, through meditation practice, we may get more than concentration. It's kind of reminding us, okay, oh, this is kind of reflection. Some of the translation here you say, okay, don't be conceited, meaning don't be so arrogant. That's part of compassion. Being arrogant, being like that is a hindrance to compassion. So when we see that reminds us of that sort of thing. But then we also have to calm down during the chanting. That's something hard to do. Because of the pride, because of the arrogance that we have, or sometimes over self-confidence that we have. This is chanting. We can experience it in many ways. It depends on individuality, and it takes some time. Of course, if you enjoy it as a music, there's no harm in that. Yeah. Dr. Ratana Sakti.
I keep my eyes closed for the whole session. And normally, when I'm meditating, because I get swelling of the legs if I sort of sit in a chair. So my normal position is in the bed with the legs stretched out. So this is quite unusual. But I kept my eyes closed for the period, and I was just observing what was going on, the insects in the net. And of course, with the eyes closed, there is no visual insect. But the other insects, like the sound of the car passing by, or it seems very gentle. But the one which seems to, the insect that seems to be the biggest insect that seems to land on the net is the body sensation. Whether we call it touch or the position or the sort of mixture of body sensation, I suppose, comes under body sensation. And I thought my legs would start to hurt, but in fact, for the most part, my legs were very comfortable. What I was feeling was on the upper part of my body. I was feeling sort of in the cheek, almost like a point, as if something is moving. And that's not uncomfortable, it's just almost, I suppose, normally one would want to scratch it. But if one doesn't do that, then of course it goes away. But the one which seems to be much more sort of quite heavy, and almost like pain in the legs, is I felt sort of one side of my, this very strange feeling, as if something was sitting heavily on one side of my face, quite heavy. And then also felt sometimes in the neck. I didn't actually check to see whether my neck was stiff, but after meditation, when I checked it, there was no problem. So meditation mind is a very difficult to know.
It's not actually, it's not something wrong with mindfulness. It may indicate, I'm using the word may, it may indicate that there's an accumulated tension, okay, physical tension. And when the mind is when mindfulness is becoming strong, that the tension may just surface, and you detect that. Otherwise, if you open your eyes and you are being distracted by something else, the mind is not strong enough to perceive that. That could be the case.
And it was interesting, once we finished the meditation, whether it is the fact that all those sensations have gone now, it was sort of very easeful. It's almost like a headache you had is gone, and you feel the contrast between the two.
Very often we discuss here, and I usually point out that, okay, when you close your eyes, you feel intense pain, but without moving your body, without moving any posture, if you simply open your eye, as if you know the pain that you experienced 1 second ago is now reduced, greatly reduced, if not disappear. Physically, that's not possible. The pain is still there. The ability of the mind to perceive is not as as strong as when you close your eyes. By closing your eyes, you give more opportunity, you have more opportunity for the mind to concentrate, and the mind turns inward. It turns inside, turns inward, yeah. Any comment, Dr. Rose Harris?
No, I must say I found the mindfulness, I only managed 20 minutes, and because I'm unpracticed, and I do experience physical pain from the position, and I found it worse. But this has been my experience in the past at moments when I've tried to meditate. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. And in the chanting, the thing I liked best were the stories of the Buddha triumphing over all these enemies through wisdom and gentleness.
Yes. With pain, when you experience physical pain, there are two sides of it. First is the physical pain, and the second is how your mind is making of it at that time. The mental pain, the physical pain, mental pain. With physical pain, by just stretching your leg, the pain will ease off. But the mind, if it keeps reacting, the mind will accumulate that habit, the habit of reaction. That is why we take the opportunity of having this physical pain to focus on the mind, how the mind is reacting to this. If the mind is expecting this session to finish, expecting the pain to go away, and if that expectation is not met, the pain doesn't go away, and there is frustration, there's disappointment. So that's a process of reaction that we try to observe. 20, 30 minutes, even 45 minutes pain is something that physically we can tolerate.
Oh yeah.
We can tolerate.